Hey, for a Pokemon game, I wouldn't change the formula. I wouldn't change the formula. But the only thing I want to add is I love that it's cartoony, but it would be interesting to have a more realistic Pokemon game. Somehow how you capture your Pokemon, could be different. Pokeballs could still be a thing, but it, I don't know. I would do a more realistic Pokemon game. Yeah, you know, put simply, more. I would do the game bigger. Since there are so many Pokemons, out there. Since there are so many Pokemon drawn into, they wouldn't necessarily have to draw new Pokemons because there's so many Pokemons already. Simply do a very big map with a lot of different varied Pokemon, yeah. With more optimized graphics, yeah. You know, that would make some sort of sense, yeah. You need to evolve at some point, I don't know. I don't know. Could be some sort of change in how you catch your Pokemon without changing the Pokeball formula. To get more legendary Pokemons, obviously you can't just always use Pokeballs. I don't know. Maybe not change the game's mechanics, but more optimized graphics and a bigger map would make some sense. Yeah, to include the majority of the Pokemon that you can get. Some may be more exclusive to certain areas or harder to get. Not dens. That did not make sense in Sword and Shield. I wouldn't recycle that part. I wouldn't want to recycle that part of the game. But majority of the Pokemon elements can be recycled. Just more optimized graphics, for one, would be interesting. More realistic looking Pokemon, yeah. Recycle the Pokemon you have drawn, but make them look more realistic. Like Charizard would look more like a dragon, a very scary dragon, Still would be a kiddie game, but it would be interesting to have better graphics and a bigger map, and have better chance to catch the Pokemons, and stop making two versions of the game. It's not like you trade much more. You can trade Pokemon online. You stop doing two versions of each game. Yeah. I know you like to have exclusives, but you can still do that, and you can still have a trade system in one game. Some Pokemon are simply rare and hard to get, and would require something specific to catch, or have certain conditions in the game. The game itself, you could have a variable weather based, yeah. That would make sense. Cold Pokemons would be more present in the winter or some sort. Would appear more often in the winter time, or some would appear more if it rains. Some would appear more if it's sunny, and so forth. That would make some sort of sense, Therefore, you could still have some rare Pokemons that are worth trading. Stop making two versions of the game. I like Sword and Shield. I did like the game, but the den system I did not think that was cool. Because it did not make sense. To me it did not make sense. It was still cool. It worked for the games. At the time. But I would do a more modernized Pokemon game with more realistic graphics. More realistic looking Pokemon. Charizard would be more scary looking. For example. More realistic Pokemon, yeah. And you would have a friend in the game that you can call by phone, keep up to date, and maybe meet up in towns and so forth, they would call each other, I'm in this town, doing this championship or whatever. That could be included, certain Pokemon would need certain items to attract them, they, for example, Charizard would need a frost, not a frost rock, but a fire rock or something. I don't know. Some Pokemon may simply be harder to get because would need certain conditions in the game to get. bosses or something. Some more rare Pokemons, would you would have to battle, and therefore, like in previous games, you just weaken before you capture. Some how to evolve, would still require something specific in some Pokemon, like IV. Some elements could be recycled. Yeah, just more realistic Pokemon, and a way bigger map, more open world. Yeah, more open world Pokemon game with variable weather. Yeah, and specific areas on the map where you can capture specific Pokemon. Yeah, like in previous titles, but more open world, more open world, larger map. Better graphics, more realistic graphics, more realistic Pokemon. That's what I would do without changing the Pokemon formula. Without changing the card game system. Without changing too much the formula of Pokemon. I think that could work. I would contact the Pokemon company. That's what I would do. That's as a Pokemon fan. I would do a more realistic Pokemon game without changing the character designs or the Pokemon's design. Simply make them a little more realistic. Pikachu would be fluffy. You would be able to pet Pikachu. Possibly. You could still play with your Pokemon and stuff like that. Slightly more modernized graphics, more realistic. Yeah. Without changing the Pokemon's design. Yeah. They would simply appear in specific areas of the map, like in previous titles, or have variable weather conditions, kind of like how Sword and Shield, would work for certain Pokemons, yeah, right? That could still be recycled, but stop making two versions of the game because that's become redundant. Because you have a trade system using internet already, therefore avoiding the need of two copies. I know you like to make money, Nintendo. You would like to sell both copies, but kind of redundant. I just usually pick one of the two. And not care. I don't even care about trading Pokemon. Honestly, I catch what I can in the game. I usually just use Charizard personally. That he's my favorite Pokemon, right? Definitely, I would use Charmander as my basic for starters. Bring back Charmander as a starter, yeah. Among other things, Pikachu, another starter available, and it's up to you for the third starter choice. What you would pick. Yeah, I would bring Charmander, Pikachu, or Pichu because it is the first version of Pikachu as starters, and up to you to decide what would be the third starter choice. That is what I would do, because they're classic Pokemon. They're cute Pokemon that everybody likes. Everybody likes Pikachu and Charizard. Too popular. Therefore, making these exclusives to starters. Yeah, if you choose Charmander, you would not be able to get Pikachu in the game. You would have to pick Pikachu or Charmander. That would kind of suck unless you trade them. Unless you end up with a trade. Yeah, that could do. Breeding system could still work. You could still have shinies. Therefore. But yeah, throughout the game, Charmander, Pikachu would be your two of the three starter choices in my opinion. Bring back Gen 1, Pokemon, because that's where Pokemon started. It's not that I don't like the newer Pokemons, some of the Pokemon I may not like as much, the design, but those would be the two of the three starters I would pick. Maybe Bulbasaur or Squirtle. It's up to you, to Nintendo. But those would be my ideas for Pokemon,